Welcome to Vital Life Energy Formulas podcast. Topic covering today is the science of nature, Delta virus, and future viruses. Welcome along, everyone, and we appreciate you taking the time to listen to our podcast with Jeff and Lorraine. Vital Life Energy Formulas does not treat, diagnose, cure, or profess a cure of any sort of disease. We hope all of you are doing well and are enjoying wherever you are in the world today.
With what we do, and our understanding is the science of nature, and nature is cyclic, nature is feminine, viruses are part of nature, light, air, earth, water are all part of nature. In nature, we have the understanding and the feeling of life energy. So Vital Life Energy teaches the science of nature and the science of life energy. Our program is based on developing stem cells and intelligent T cells to recognize and build our natural immunity. Our natural immunity can recognize all forms of viral infections. That's very important to understand because, as we now know, we went from COVID-19, then in the liver, we get 2, 3, 4 viruses that are inactive, then an external virus like the COVID-19 activates, then it mutates into the Delta, which is in our liver, and then that's come into our blood and our lymph system. And our immune system then has to recognize the Delta, which is not as viral as the COVID-19, which affected the elderly people, and the person that had a strong immune system, he didn't have the same reactions, but build immunity to it. Now we're dealing with a Delta, which is more of like a flu virus, and that virus easily spreads, as we all know, because it has the actual pathogen it's a nanovirus, so it's very, very small. You can't really see it. It's like not mucus that comes out like when the SARS 1 and 2 was very mucousy. This is now, because they've activated the Epstein-Barr herpes simplex in the actual vaccine, become airborne. So it's very, very airborne, easily can travel all around. That's the reason it travels easily around the world. At the same time, it activates within the cells and attaches to that cell. And our immune system then can recognize that cell and then remove it out of the body with oxygen. That's the red blood cells that we produce in our program. That's our natural immune cells. And the T cells then are able to build immunity for years and years and years. And our stem cells can recognize it immediately, activate the oxygen, and regenerate the cells and activate the platelets and make new tissue and reduce the inflammatory response, which viruses cause inflammation. That's very important to understand. All viruses, we have inflammation, cause that inflammation, unless it's an injury or a trauma, that's coming from a virus. So the more our immune system is able to recognize the viruses, the reduction of inflammation in our body. So our program is based on developing stem cells and intelligent T cells to recognize and build our natural immunity. Our natural immunity can recognize all forms of viral infections every day of our life, young or old. Natural immunity is now recognized as being more potent than man-made vaccines that have major toxins in them. Our program and treatments are stimulating the bone marrow of our hips to activate this. Because see, the largest bone, the bone in our body, is where the cerebrospinal fluid passes through, is the largest bone is our hips. And of course, women have larger hips because they give birth to children. And so therefore they have a stronger immunity than males do. And in the middle of that bone marrow is where the cerebrospinal passes through. And that's where we manufacture our T cells, stem cells, white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets. And then either side, like you can have one hip, and we can stimulate the regeneration of that with using castor oil packs with castor oil can then go into with the amino acids that we give, are taking our formulations, because within the actual bone marrow cerebrospinal fluid is 90 essential nutrients with the castor oils that can stimulate the rehydration of the hormone production within our body, can stimulate the stem cells that actually, the more that the stem cells move back and forth, the more platelets, red blood cells, and white blood cells that actually produce and go into the lymph system to fight the infection or go into our blood to carry oxygen.
Plus, they go to the thymus in the middle of the chest, and every 28 days, with the sun and the moon, the lunar cycle, the thymus matures the T cells, and then they're released throughout the lymph and the blood. They're the intelligent immune cells that recognizes what's good from bad, or if oxygen needs to go to those cells, well, that's a bad cell, remove that cell, that's a virus, that's a parasite, and build a natural immunity. That's what the thymus gland does.
And the thymus gland is actually in the chest, and every 28 days, the T cells that are being manufactured in the bone marrow then mature in the thymus and then go in directly into the blood and lymph system to every vertebrae and every gland in our body, as the T cells now can recognize in that 28 days whatever viral or bacterial infection that we've been exposed to. So the situation here now is what we're dealing with is the recognition that this is a spike protein, which is a form of the Epstein-Barr herpes simplex. And that spike is actually what goes into the cell, penetrates the cell, and releases its toxin, which is a pathogen that causes the inflammation of the cell, and then inflammation that can spread to other cells. And that's what the immune system can then recognize and prevent the spike protein to go into that cell and then allow the elimination of that to move out through the natural immune system. But now, because of this new spike protein jab vaccine, it's now what's happening is that it goes into the pituitary in the brain, but then because it totally focuses on the COVID-19, the spike part, which is the spike protein that's in that vaccine, then it actually weakens the immune system to recognize other pathogens, such as Delta, Mu, and other ones that are now coming along the way. Now, the beautiful thing about our program is that we've always been working on the immune system through amino acids, Castropax, footpaths, and working on the regeneration of bone marrow, the regeneration of immune cells, regeneration of the thymus, the glands, the hormone, the colon, the liver, which is the most regenerative organ in the body.
So it's most important when you're going through any reaction from those who have had the spike protein, and there's a shedding, which is a natural process when anytime we're exposed to a virus, there is a shedding that happens. And so with the spike protein, and there's a shedding and there's a reaction that you might go through from being exposed to somebody who's had the spike protein, use your formulas because they pass the blood-brain barrier, the amino acids. That's the reason they're all in powdered form. So as soon as you're not feeling well, you use either your stress formulas that we might have recommended for you, or just your regular program. Take it immediately. It passes the blood-brain barrier straight into the top of the roof of the mouth to the brain, to the pituitary, to activate the thymus gland, to send the T cells out, to recognize the shedding of that spike protein and help the liver be able to filter that out. So you build a natural immunity.
The beautiful thing is that because of our work and understanding of cycles, and we know the liver regenerates new cells within 3 months. And of course, we also know that 28 days the thymus activates. So as we build up our natural immunity through the amino acids in our program, then the body starts to activate the liver to regenerate, whether it's the right side, the male side, or the left side, the female side, the next month. Then back to the liver, we have more new cells than old cells. That means the old cells that comes from spike protein can be cleared out when a 90-day period. So even though we've been given this particular spike protein that can burn the bone marrow and so on, which I'll give you some research on that in a minute, even though we might have had this through our program and what we do, we
The
help you through the
nanolipo. It's the nanolipo. That's the nanoparticles, the nanolipid particles.
yes, the nano is so minuscule that it easily can pass through, and then in the body and in the air, and that's the reason it can easily transmit from one person to the next. And that's the shedding that Lorraine's talking about. Now, the information supports what we've been talking about. These are scientists. These are people that, this Robert Malone is the inventor of the RNA vaccine technology in 1988. So this is coming from him, and also another doctor, Steve Girsch, CIRSCH, his job is to fund research for COVID-19. And these two people we're talking now about the spike protein. And this is what they came up with. The spike protein, a component of the COVID-19 vaccines, does not, as previously believed, remain fixed at the injection site. So in other words, normally when you have a smallpox, polio, any normal vaccine, it actually goes in the blood through the injection site. The part that makes this different, of course, here's the inventor of the RNA vaccine technology. It goes directly into the brain, which is the RNA cells. So it says right here, but in fact, it can get into the blood. A study which is obtained from the Japanese government indicates the toxic spike protein can travel to the bone marrow. That's the reason everything we work on is to help the bone marrow regenerate, rehydrate, and to activate its natural immune cells through the non-essential nutrients, through the casopacks, and everything we're doing. The liver, the most regenerative organ in the body. The liver activates and removes the chemical out of our body, the xenoestrogens. The liver manufactures red blood cells. It's the most important filter that's going to take and activate the enzymes from the gallbladder to activate our whole digestive system. And like that. So if they were burning in there, then our whole digestive system becomes inflamed from the spike protein. So then it says that adrenal glands, it affects the adrenals. That's fatigue, chronic fatigue, and so on. Hypoglycemia. Affects the bone marrow itself. Affects the ovaries. That's where you can go to the ovaries. You can go to the spleen, the heart, and the brain. And then he says very simply, he said, obviously this is damaging those areas, but the but is through the work that we're doing, we can then remove those dead cells out, just like it was any kind of major chemical exposure or viral exposure from other source. Our immune system can recognize that and remove it out. And then honestly, we can then not carry this for years and years in our life or be spreading it, shedding it to other people. Stem cells provide new cells for the body as it grows and replaces specialized cells that are damaged or lost. The stem cells can provide new cells for the body's new cells, not old ones, that grows and replaces that the damaged cells. So the stem cells go in and these cells have been damaged by the spike protein or chemical or trauma or stress. The stem cells could go in there and actually heal and replace the new cells, damaged cells, and remove those out and actually build back up the cells that have been damaged. Stem cells regenerate the synovial fluid in the disc. So the fluid that's in between, we get the pain from the nerves going to different parts of your body. The actual stem cells go into that area, rehydrate it, and get the liquid in there so you're not going bone and bone or causing the inflammation of the nerves. The joints, it regenerates the liver, the brain, the spleen, the kidneys, the pancreas, the intestine, the villi of the lungs, intestine, bone marrow, and activates oxygen. So these are the things that we're doing and with our program. And I wanted to say is that we really want to help each of you. And that's where the appointments are very, very important. The understanding of utilizing that when you have that inflammation, that we have treatments to help you with that. Our treatments actually stimulate the bone marrow of your hips, activate the stem cells. This will have a natural immune system fight the virus, activate the intelligent T cells, platelets, natural killer cells, and red blood cells. We have viruses and pathogens and bacteria around us all the time. Our body stores viruses. Externally, when exposed to a new virus, it can activate the inactive virus in the liver to circulate and burn, cause the inflammation, and remove that out of the body. The best way to absorb vitamin D is through the Castro packs and through the absorption of light. Absol pass, and for you ladies, the uterus is one of the most important muscles in the female body to move the lymph and to stimulate the hips and the stem cells in the villi of the bone marrow. The triangle, we are stimulating you from the hips, one hip, back to your neck, the next hip. Okay, so you go one hip, Castro pack in that area, and then to the next other side, to the next hip, then back to the back of the neck. And that rehydrates any of the osteoporosis that's on the vagus nerve that controls the parasympathetic nerves, which activates the relaxation. So through our process, through the different treatments, we're here to help you. There's no negativity here. If you happen for been either have to have it for the actual pathogen, the spike protein, the virus, then we're here to help you with that. We're also here to help the immune system and our children and to activate a healthy and a wise and a spiritual, courageous future. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, everyone. And if any of you need any guidance, we're here for you. Just reach out and we'll make sure we can get you rescheduled in for appointments. As you know, there's things that need to be adjusted with your programs as things are changing all the time. Enjoy the day.
Thank you.